Hello, my name is Joshelle Anderson, and I am the owner of Just a Little Business, LLC, where we offer business and leadership coaching, single member LLC setup, business plan creation, and professional resume writing. But most importantly, we offer small business membership plans that help startups and home businesses go from uncertainty and feeling overwhelmed to clarity and organization. If you require any of these services, please give us a call at 469-340-3208. We can't wait to take your business to the next level. Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hi there. How are you today? I'm doing really well.
Great. Tonight, our special guest is Nikki Klugh, owner of Nikki Klugh Design Group. She has been featured on BET, The Home Depot, SD Designs, NBC, San Diego Home and Garden, Fine Magazine, Black Southern Belle, and many more. Wow, this is so impressive. Tell us all about your business.
Oh my gosh, I've been in business a while now. It's been some years, and it's been baby steps all the way, but they add up to big steps. So,
All right, how long have you been in business?
for 20 years now.
20 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go into interior design?
My gosh, I've always loved design. Since I can remember, I was helping my mom. We do these weekend warrior projects before that was even a thing. And we decorate our home in Houston, Texas, and that just became a passion. I went back to school though when my younger sons were born, and got my degree and have been practicing ever since.
Okay. So why interior design? I know you said a little bit about your mom. Can you give us more information about that background?
Yeah, so my mom was majored in fashion design, so she's a creative. But being in Houston, Texas, and the oil industry, when it came time to get a job after college, that was where she ended up. And so her weekends were all about being creative, and I got to walk that journey with her. And I love spatial relationships, and a total tomboy, so doing construction. Kitchen and bathroom renovations, whole home design build is totally up my alley. And I have a left brain, right brain. So really seeing from the very beginning all the way through to the end, and even the beautiful, small and simple, but breathtaking finishes has just always been a passion. And I love seeing that transformation, that ugly duckling journey. I realized how I kind of walk in that, that touches a deep part of me, being an awkward kid. And so it's like, oh yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'm drawn to. It's just knowing that transformation can happen and making something that's old, ugly, discarded, tired, transforming into something beautiful.
Your work is fabulous. So I want to show some of our viewers exactly some of your work. Let's take a look. When I look at those photos, all I can say is, wow.
Oh, thank you.
I wish it was my office.
Thank you.
So what type of interior design services do you offer?
Mhm. It's a great question. So we do anything from a consultation, now virtually. We've been working virtually though for about 5 years, but got it down to science, especially in our recent time. So we do virtual consultations, and again, all the way up to design build. We've worked on projects as large as $5 million, and currently doing a couple of ground up projects in California. So I like making our services accessible. So even if it's an hour and a half consultation, we give you a bang for your buck and all the amazing ideas, if I were your designer, that you can then take and implement.
Okay. So how have you garnered so much great success in this field? Especially, you say you've been in the business for 20 years. How did you get to where you've been able to obtain all these great contracts?
Yeah, little by little. Again, I've seen some people shoot straight to the top, and that's awesome. But that was not my journey. I
Mhm.
had to just continue to put myself out there. I think in most recent years, it has been social media, getting on Facebook Live and sharing in my projects what I was working on, posting consistently, letting people know, hey, I'm here, I'm in business, and then developing a network and asking people for referrals. Like, who do you know who could benefit from our services? What are you working on? And it's a give and a take. So helping other people in their businesses, but it definitely was through networking and being on social media.
Okay. So are you a team of one or do you have a team that works with you?
No, actually, we doubled in just the last 6 months. It was four of us before, and now it's eight of us. And looking to hire again. It's just been a crazy ride with COVID, and the fact that people are appreciating their homes now more than ever. We've been preaching this, that your home is your sanctuary, it's your sacred space. It's the place where you rest and restore and rejuvenate and just springboard out into the world. But people have definitely understood that it is your sanctuary and your safe space. So our business has essentially doubled in the last year.
So when you meet a client, what questions do you ask to get a feel of what they're looking for? How do
Yeah.
you engage to make sure you're going to give them exactly what they want?
Yeah, so we get down and dirty. I become your new best friend, and we learn all about you, your preferences, not just with style and color and texture and pattern, but also just how you live your life with your family, with your friends, even how you are alone. Like, what is it that you dream about? How do you move? Who are you? We really get to know our clients, their heads and their hearts. And then also just communication style. What works best for them so far as project management? Do they like weekly check-ins? Do they want just everything done and they come home and they haven't had to touch anything? So
Mhm.
it really is about learning our clients and then meeting that need.
Okay. So when you're on a project, I take it you take projects all over the United States.
We do.
So do you bring your own team with you as far as contractors, or do you use local contractors?
That's a great job. That's a great question. So, for most jobs, we have an in-house construction team in San Diego, California, but then in New York, in DC, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, and then up and down the California coast, we work with local tradesmen in their crews. But we have project managers in those cities, part of our internal team.
Okay. If you can name one type of design that you just absolutely love to do versus another, what would that be?
Gosh, that's a hard question because I love so many different design styles, and it really is about the client. It's not about me at all. It's about what is it that's going to inspire them and make them excited and happy about the spaces that they live in. Personally, I like design that has, soft, sexy lines, cool tones, relaxing shades, and a little bit of bling. So I call that beach chic. Yeah.
Okay. How do you decide what the new space will look like? I know you're incorporating feedback from your client, but do you offer like this is what the new thing is, or is it totally dependent on what they want?
Right, right. Again, we look at their design style assessment and we make recommendations based on, are they a trendy person? Do they like to keep with the trends, or do they like the tried and true, more traditional and relaxed in its style? It varies. Like each time, it's that's what keeps this interesting. While we do have processes in place and we have our 15-step design style assessment and process and protocols, as I'm building out the team, that's like the thing that's like top of mind for me right now is getting everything systematized. As you know, in business, that's how you scale. Still, each project is its own, situation, and depending on what it is that the client needs. So we absolutely stay on trend with everything that's going on, but really I want to serve the client and do what's best for them in a deep level and not just, follow the trends. So if they are fashion queen and they like the latest and greatest and the newest, we absolutely can go there with them. And so sometimes we get that, and that's what we do.
With COVID, how have you able to keep your business afloat?
Yeah. So I mentioned before that I've been designing virtually for the last 5 years. That was because of the sorority house I did in Washington, D.C. And it made me realize, wow, we have the technology and the tools that my ideas can be communicated across the nation, across, overseas even. And that's when it all started. And as I would travel to Washington, D.C., I picked up a project in New York. I did that project in conjunction with the D.C. project. And from there, I was like, oh, we've got this down. So again, having specific protocols in place and checkpoints and communication with the construction crew if there's construction involved. We really fine-tuned that over the last 5 years.
Okay. So do you find more of your meetings now or Zoom meetings or through some kind of Skype or social media to reach your client and to stay engaged?
Yes, for sure. Ever since COVID, we were doing that, with some clients before when we were, doing virtual designs. But now even our local clients, we meet with Zoom over the last year. We're starting to break out, of course, and get back in there, but it's a time saver. And so in some ways, I believe we will keep this way of communicating, especially for meetings that don't require in person. And I think all of us will be making adjustments to find what works best.
What inspires you to get up and keep doing it every day?
Gosh, again, that transformation story. Our clients become like our best friends. We pray for our clients. We anticipate their needs. We stay involved and active in their lives. I feel like, again, it's a client for life, and so that's exciting for me to be able to connect and relate and to give in this way of my gifts.
Okay. So what is the average time to complete a project once you start?
It depends. It depends on the scope of work, what we're doing. Are we remodeling? Are we only furnishing? Is it a consultation? A consultation is 90 minutes and we check back in a couple of weeks later once you start making your purchases based on the links that I share. But we've had projects that go 2 years. That was the Zeta project. I've also had clients that come back and we've worked together for 10 years now. And so, doing one room at a time, it felt like, okay, by the time we got it all done, then it's time to start over and we're looking to refresh the very first space we started.
So I showed pictures of mostly homes. So you do office buildings, you do a variety of different clients, right?
Yeah, most recently we did a project in Atlanta, Georgia for Tyler New Media. It's a media and training company based out of Duluth, Georgia. And that was a really great project to be a part of. We got to do some Afrocentric and some really hip and urban things in there that really spoke to their audience, to who they are, Black excellence. It was really a very, very cool project, but it was a commercial space. So the spaces that I've done in a commercial sector have been mostly small business owners to be able to bring their vibe, their values and personality into the space.
I find Georgia is really changing. A lot of the Hollywood industry is moving to Georgia to start companies. Do you find that the more are reaching out to you to help establish their space, or in general, business is going more to the South?
Some of the conversations we have about business, it's like, okay, if you're a, starving entrepreneur, you used to be starving artist, right? But if you're like giving your all and going all in, like going for broke for your, dream and your vision for what you see creating and starting for your legacy, like, where do you do that from? Can you do that in New York City? Can you do that in DC, California? So I think some of the southern states the cost of living is lower and people are considering a lifestyle change, knowing that that's going to help them support their business and make the dollar stretch further.
Right. If you could implement anything or change anything about your industry, what would that be?
Gosh, something that I already have changed about our industry is collaboration. When I first started design 20 years ago, no one would share anything with me. I could not get best practices other than in a book. It took months for me to find my internship to graduate. And so what I've decided to do is to, help break that barrier. And social media absolutely has helped. But what I personally have done is open my calendar on Fridays. And so I call it Free Fridays, where I will mentor and give advice to young designers and allow them to ask me questions and, just brainstorm. Sometimes people just need to vet an idea. And so anything I can do to help, the future generation is my pleasure to do so. And an unintended consequence of that is that I have a team across the country. Like, I didn't plan it that way. I didn't look and say, how can I make this happen? It just was all a God thing. And I do really love the people that I get to work with and serve clients with.
Well, that's good. I especially like the mentoring part. I believe you can't give enough back to our up and coming youth or someone who wanted to get into business, just didn't know how.
Right. Agreed.
So of all your projects, and you've had many, which one would you say, man, I love that project? That was the one for me. Which one do you think took you over to the next level?
Yeah, I think every one of them, like, seriously, each new one, and again, most recently, it was the Tyler New Media project. But I've also loved when I got to be creative outside of my norm. A recent project that we did was the Kaleidoscope project at the Cornell Inn in Lenox, Massachusetts. And we were given a color palette that we had to stay within. It was a soft pastel-y color palette. And that's not my norm, just personally. And, you attract more of what you put out there, right? So,
right.
So I was like, okay, well, let's play with this. And it turned out wonderfully. I was like, oh, wow, this is the prettiest room I've ever done. It felt chic, it felt fun, it felt feminine, but not too feminine. There were definitely some masculine elements in there. And we used black to ground the entire project. So it didn't feel too, pastel-y because, it didn't feel too soft. It definitely had some power and some punch to it.
Okay. So does your field require a special degree or license to be in this field?
It doesn't require that. Now, again, as a professional interior designer, I am certified. I can move walls. I can submit drawings for permitting. But then there's also the decoration side. And so that is where you would have to engage with an architect or general contractor in order to make things happen with any kind of structural changes. But if you want to be a decorator or a designer that doesn't do construction, you do not have to have a degree to do that. And again, it varies per state. So you'd have to just check with your local jurisdiction to find out what they require.
Okay. So if I were to hire you or any designer, what are some important questions I should always ask that designer?
That's a great question. So I would ask how you charge, because you ask 5 different designers how they charge, it's going to be 5 different answers. And you really need to select someone that you feel comfortable with and understand their billing process and know that it works for you and your values and budget. You'd also want to know, do they have project management? Can they help you see it all the way through? Or are these simply ideas and pieces that then you would have to put together for yourself? I also would think about just their personality, their style of communication. There definitely are decorating divas that it's like their way or the highway, it's like this is their design style. You've come to me for this, and I'm going to give you this. So, And that's cool. That's absolutely wonderful. I understand it now, as a businesswoman and really wanting to understand my numbers and what makes sense and what's going to provide longevity and sustain our team. When you have a designer that specifically works in a certain design style, she has better leverage. So if you love that design style, absolutely go for it because she has better buying power with just these certain vendors that are locked into this design style.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw you mention the 5-day Create My Money Space Challenge. What is that?
Yeah. So that was our way of giving back. That was our service at the beginning of COVID. It was like, okay, all we can do is control what we can control. Like we have, this world is out of control at the moment. So what are you joyful about? What are you thankful about? How can you serve? That was my way of coping with the trauma of, everyone in fear of their lives. And that was my give back because I understand that our spaces, affect us, whether, we understand it or not, or aware of it or not. The way things smell, the way they sound, the lighting, your posture, the way you sit, like all those different elements and design, like scientific-based design can affect your productivity, your creativity, and your mood. So we took what we knew about design and we taught others how to do that for themselves in their spaces because we all found ourselves working at home. And oftentimes our homes were not conducive to working. So we help people in that way. And that was when we created the challenge. And it's something I never would have done outside of COVID.
It was a great idea, though.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. We helped a lot of people. We still engage in that community and share tips. And, we formed this, this wonderful community of 1,000 people inside of a Facebook group.
Yeah. So when I was researching your company, I found 2 statements that I really found intriguing. And I just wanted to read them to you and get your little feedback from it. So you said, my mission is to transform clients' ordinary spaces to ordinary experiences. What?
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary, you're right. Extraordinary experiences.
Yes.
What is that about?
Yes, so that's designing to your senses. This was something I discovered about 15 years ago. It was a process, I started, again, understanding the science of color and olfactory smell and how that affects us. So using aromatherapy, light therapy, we've incorporated that into our designs. And so we create something that's not just pretty, that doesn't just look nice and, beautiful, trendy, but that actually feels good. So we've incorporated those things to create what I say is extraordinary experiences, something that you wouldn't expect. When you walk into a space, people can feel it. And I often get that. It was like, I knew you designed this space.
And that kind of leads into the next one. NKDG transforms homes into sanctuaries by helping our clients design their ideal home environment. I know when I come home, I want to feel good about where I am and where I'm going to spend time. Does that factor in that kind of philosophy?
Absolutely. Again, thinking back to how this all began and what drew me to design, and it really was knowing that home is safe. Home is your safety. It's where you feel loved, and no matter what the world is throwing at you, you can come here and rest and rejuvenate and restore to get back out there in this crazy, hectic world. So having that space at home became really important to me. I haven't mentioned this earlier, but I'm a mom of 4 sons. And so that brought in another layer of creating spaces that, really did allow you to rest and restore.
And so you travel a lot with 4 sons. How do you balance that?
Right. So that didn't always happen. Before it was being home with them, working around their schedules, football, baseball, all the different busy life you can imagine, because they're close in age. It was 6-year range from the oldest to the youngest, and so we had a busy life. It wasn't until they got older and now empty nesters and I'm able to do the traveling.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Nikki, is there anything else you'd like us to know about your business?
We just love to serve. We serve at different ranges. I don't think I'll ever see myself as that, unreachable designer. We have been sharing more on social media so that people can get this, designing to the senses and creating sacred spaces to understand that message more. But I still left my calendar open to do consultations because I just love that ability to give people great design. Doesn't matter what your budget is.
That's right. So if anyone would like to contact Nikki and her business, here is her contact information. And Nikki, you can tell them more about contacting you if you like.
Sure. They can reach out via email, schedule a discovery call, join our magazine. We actually do a quarterly magazine, complimentary. So you can actually subscribe to that or join our Facebook group if you're still working at home and see that in your future and want to make an investment in changing your space and making it something that you love.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. I enjoyed having you on. So next Sunday, everyone, my next guest will be Ms. Hazel Robinson. She is the owner of HIS Tax and Financial Services. She'll tell you more about how to file your taxes and get more back from your business. Thank you so much, Nikki. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise.
All right. Bye.